Before we get into this video, I want to let you guys know that more than likely, this update is going to be dropping tonight around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and hopefully at that point, I will actually be able to pop up with a stream over on my stream channel. Link for that's going to be down in the description. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe on over there so you don't miss out on the stream. What's good, everybody? We are back with another Call of Duty Mobile video. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. So the patch notes for the upcoming update have finally arrived. So the update, I believe, should be this Thursday night for the official arrival of Season 4. I think there's a little bit of confusion about which season it is that's coming, because I've seen multiple YouTubers post videos about Season 5. Season 4 isn't even here yet, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves and start talking about Season 5. Let's handle what's at hand. But if you guys are as excited about this update as I am, make sure to drop a like down below and subscribe to the squad if you guys haven't already. It looks like there's going to be a massive amount of new content coming. We got 2 new guns coming to Battle Royale, 2 new guns coming to multiplayer as well, and a massive amount of changes, including a new map and balance changes, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So there are going to be a lot of changes we talk about in this video that people have been requesting for a really long time. And the first one of those that we can see confirmed in the patch notes right here is the nerfing of the S36. So we can see the stability of the S36 has been reduced and the horizontal recoil has been increased. Honestly, the horizontal recoil was all that really needed to be added, because as of right now, with the current state of the S36, basically you can just sit in a corner and spray across the entire map with pretty good accuracy, which is just ridiculous no matter how bad the mobility on the gun is. I think just about everyone agree there is definitely a need for a nerf in the S36, and we can see here at the top of the patch notes that we're getting it. Now, I know other YouTubers have talked about some of these nerfs and buffs, but this is the first official news that we have for the specific nerfs and buffs for each. Next up, we have reduced performance when shooting while moving with a light machine gun. I don't think this is going to affect people all that much, because I feel like for the most part, when people are using LMGs such as the S36, they're usually sitting still. However, this does mean that LMGs like the S36 will be more difficult to use at close range, which is the way that it should be, because they are meant to be long-range weapons, and they should have some sort of disadvantage in the close range, especially given their high rate of fire and damage. The next nerf is one that I've been saying has been needed for a while, and that is a nerf to the MSMC. So I started using it yesterday. I hadn't been using it for the majority of the season, just because I got so tired of using it and started using it yesterday and was just absolutely destroying, because the damage on the gun is just too high. While I can understand that it does have a massive disadvantage in that it's not able to fight well in the long range, the damage on it is just too ridiculously high to be countered by any weapon, at least whenever it's being handled by a good user. Now, not necessarily everybody can handle the recoil on it, but just about anybody that you'll encounter in Legendary tier has at that point learned how to handle the recoil of the MSMC. And because of that, if you get into any type of a close range fight with the MSMC, unless you have a shotgun, you're probably going to lose that gunfight, and it's really just uncounterable. Now, I'm not saying there shouldn't be a best close range weapon, but the speed at which it fires right now is just too high, especially given the amount of damage that it does. And you can see right here, they're, number one, reducing the stability of the MSMC, which is shockingly enough going to make it even more difficult to control. But number two, they're decreasing the short range damage as well, which is what I think needs to be done. And hopefully this will cause more people to try out different weapons on maps like Summit, where most of the gunfights are close range, and it will create more balance in the game. Next up, we've got a nerf for another gun that is considered to be one of the best in the game, and that is the Type 25. Now, with this being said, we've been told that there are nerfs coming to the Type 25 basically every time we've had a major update in past seasons, and it still remains one of the top guns in the game. So whether or not this will actually be an effective nerf is yet to be seen, but we can see right here they're reducing the short-range damage of the Type 25. Now, the main advantage of the Type 25 is that it is a high short-range damage, slightly unstable assault rifle. So In my opinion, this is the nerf that the gun needs in order to make it more balanced alongside other assault rifles. The primary reason that most people have continued to use the Type 25 while very few people have continued to use the AK-117 is because of its close range damage, but with this reduction, I have a feeling that we will now see a significant number of people switching back over to the AK-117, which was dominant in Seasons 1 and 2 of Call of Duty Mobile. Not to say that it was ever completely out of the meta, but definitely has not been considered by most pros to be the top assault rifle in the game, which most people have seen as the Type 25. Next up, we actually have a pretty interesting update that I didn't really see coming, but for the Locust, the DLQ, and the Arctic 50, they have increased knockback when hit by firearms. Now, I'll just go ahead and give a brief explanation of this for those of you who don't understand. So, most people will probably recognize, especially when you're taking shots from, like, an LMG, there's a significant amount of flinch that happens to you whenever you get hit by a shot. You see this primarily when you're using SMGs, assault rifles, and LMGs, and for sniper rifles, it hasn't really been much of a factor. Now, this is actually going to be a really big difference for sniper users because for the most part, whenever you're scoped in with a sniper, regardless of how many shots you take, there is no type of flinch animation. So what this update is going to do is actually add in the flinch animation, which they're calling knockback right here, which means that when you're scoped in with a sniper and you start getting shot, your scope is actually going to move around instead of staying completely steady. This is definitely going to make it a lot harder to snipe at long ranges. And depending on how major the knockback animation is, it might make it a lot more difficult to snipe at close ranges as well. We'll have to wait and see until we test it actually in-game to see how much this is going to affect people, but this could be a pretty significant nerf for sniper players that people are definitely going to want to watch out for going into Season 4. Next up, we've got another buff to the ASM-10, which is starting to look like it might be one of the better assault rifles in the game, especially with the listed buffs. So number one, it says they've increased the stability of the ASM-10, and they've also increased the range of it. So I would say the main knock on the ASM-10 is that it does have a pretty significant amount of horizontal recoil that makes it difficult to control. I'm guessing the stability that's being added to it is going to reduce that horizontal recoil by a lot. And the fact that they're increasing the range of it means that it could potentially be the best long-range assault rifle in the game, right up there with guns like the AK-117. You guys are going to see that the rest of the changes that are coming are all buffs, meaning there are no more nerfs that we're going to be covered, which means the AK-117 number one is probably going to be the new best assault rifle unless it is surpassed by the ASM-10. But the changes that we're seeing right here give me a feeling that the ASM-10 is probably going to be right up there with the AK-117 as the top two assault rifles for Season 4 of Call of Duty Mobile. Moving on down, we'll see that the damage fluctuation range according to the firing distance of the LK-24 bullet has been reduced. What I'm guessing this means is that the LK probably had a lot of damage drop-off in the current state of the gun, so I'm guessing this just means that it'll have a more consistent damage the further out you go with it. With that being said, we've seen buffs to the LK-24 every single season as well, and it's never gotten any better. And I think with the gun's rate of fire and the lack of damage that it puts out, I don't think it'll be a viable option, especially given that the change that's happening to it isn't one of the major gripes that people have had for the gun. I'm still thinking that it's probably not going to be a viable option. Next up, we've got the BK-57 and the ICR-1 getting an increase in their range. Honestly, I already felt like the ICR had pretty good range as it was, so if anything, this might make the BK-57 a more viable option, and it could be up there with the AK-117 and the ASM-10 in Season 4 as one of those top long-range assault rifles. But keep in mind, that's another one of those weapons that has had constant buffs and still not made it into a top 3 assault rifle spot. Then lastly, we've got the stability of the AK-47 and the Man of War being increased. This is actually going to have a pretty big impact for free-to-play players because the Man of War is going to be obtainable through ranked rewards in Season 4. I haven't used the Man of War much personally, but from what I've been told, it's actually one of the highest damage output guns in the game, and most content creators' main gripe about the gun is that it was too unstable. So the fact that the stability of the gun has been increased could very well mean that it's another one of those guns that is in the category of being a top assault rifle in Call of Duty Mobile. In addition, I think the stability buff is going to do some good things for the AK-47, but as it is, high rate of fire assault rifles are dominating Call of Duty Mobile right now, and because the AK-47 fires so slow, I just don't think that it's going to be able to make its way into one of those top spots. Yes, it is a viable gun, but I don't think that any of these updates are going to do what they need to in order to make it one of the best guns in the game. So with all the buffs and nerfs on the table, this leads us to look at what will likely be the best guns in Call of Duty Mobile for Season 4. Looking at guns on this list, as far as what we can be looking for guns that might be in the top 5, I would say the ASM-10 and the Man of War, if these buffs and changes do happen accurately, will most likely move into top 5 spots, especially if the nerfs to the MSMC and the Type 25, as well as the S36, are as effective as we hope that they will be. However, in the past, buffs and nerfs haven't been as effective as we'd hope they would be. So probably one of the most important things is going to be to look at guns that are not going to be affected in this update. I would say as of right now, if you exclude sniper rifles from the top 5 guns in the game, the AKS and the AK-117 are both already top 5 guns. And by the AKS, of course, I mean the RUS-79U, formerly known as the AKS. But if these balance changes end up being as effective as I think most players hope they are, then those two guns, more than likely alongside the Man of War, will be some of the contenders for the best guns in the game. Now, obviously, we're going to have to wait and see how this actually plays out in the game. And like I said, I will be going live tonight to test out some of the new guns and everything else, and take a look at everything that has happened in the update. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you check out my stream channel. Link to that is down in the description. But that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, drop a like down below and subscribe to the squad if you guys haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time.